We've now been living in El Salvador for 19 months, and I can tell you this. What you think life here will be like is probably wrong. Some things are way better than expected, and some things are way harder. And a few things nobody talks about at all. In this video, I'm not going to give you the postcard version. I'm going to give you the real version of what life is like after the honeymoon phase is long gone. Buenas tardes, mis amigos, y bendiciones para todos ustedes. Good afternoon, my friends, and blessings to you all. My name is Charity Hagenars, and bienvenidos a mi canal if you're new here, y bienvenidos de nuevo if we're already old amigos. Si no habla inglés, hice un segundo video solo para ti en español. Section 1. What changed after the honeymoon phase? When we first arrived here, everything felt new and exciting, the lifestyle. At first you come here and it feels like a vacation for about 3 months. And then reality sets in and you may start questioning what you have done. That is totally normal. And this is why you need to have more than one reason to move here. We have the weather. It is warm all the time, sometimes too warm with no relief, sometimes too cold with no heater. The prices, some are better, some are the same, and some are worse. I have a story to tell you. I want to get my sofa steam cleaned. In Canada, I had a Bissell Green machine. They do not seem to have these here, so I contacted 2 companies, and the cheapest quote was $80. I bought these sofa sets for $160 each. I have 2 of them. So to spend $40 to clean each set seems very high to me. I will just do it myself with a spray bottle and my shop vac. But I would have loved to have been able to afford to have someone else do it. But then you go to get a week's worth of fruit and vegetables in the street market or off a truck down the road for only $19. And honestly, a lot of this is still true. But after 19 months, things shift a bit. Stuff that used to feel charming sometimes just feels inconvenient now. And things that felt uncomfortable at the beginning have actually become completely normal. Like at our old house, on the days when we had water from ANDA, I had to switch 2 levers at the pump, and when the ANDA water was gone, I had to switch those 2 levers back. That was every Wednesday and Saturday. That just became normal. I don't have to do that here in this house. I have no idea why that house was manual and this one's automatic. We have a slower pace of life. Things are not always working the way you expect. You have to be flexible with your plans. At first that can drive you crazy, and now it's just life. Section 2. What we got completely wrong. We made mistakes, big ones. One of the biggest, thinking that we could just figure things out as we go. Some things you can, but some things you really can't. And we underestimated how long certain processes take, like enrolling kids in school, or how different systems are from Canada, like opening a bank account, or how important it is to have local knowledge and having a local to help you out. This is so important with everything. And we overestimated how easy certain things would be, like finding wheat flour and vanilla at a grocery store, or how quickly we'd fully adapt. If I could go back, I'd spend more time preparing for the real day-to-day life, not just the move, and more importantly, learning the language. I cannot stress that enough. Section 3, family life after 19 months. This is where things get really interesting because moving as a family changes everything. Our kids have adapted in ways we didn't expect. They're more independent. In Canada, we lived in the country, so our kids did not have independence that way. They couldn't just leave the house and walk to a friend's or the corner store. And to be honest, even if we didn't live in the country, I wouldn't feel safe having my kids out on their own because of the huge child trafficking rings in Canada. I had one friend who lived 1 kilometer down the side road that we lived on. And my kids walked to her place about 5 times in the last year that we lived in Canada. And once they had a car approach them to give them a ride. Now, we lived in the middle of nowhere. Except for the 5 times my kids walked down the road, you never saw kids on the road. In fact, one time, my daughter, at 7 years old, took her bike to my friend's house and someone called the cops. That is how rare it is to see kids on their own in Canada. Here, they go out in our community, which is really a small town of 1,000 houses, and they can go to the park or to the stores or walk to a friend's house without my supervision. Now, that is how Canada was when I grew up. They're more flexible and open to trying new things, as like everything here is new for us, and they have become more adventurous, more open to different ways of living, and that is one of the reasons that we put them in public school in El Salvador. I don't want people to think that we're better than them because we came from Canada. I don't want people to think that we're snobs or that we think highly of ourselves. And I certainly do not want my kids to think that way either. To me, putting them in public school helps to keep them humble and appreciate the lives that they have and to be compassionate to the people of our adoptive country. Also, it is full immersion for them, but it hasn't been easy. There are still challenges. School systems, they're improving every month, but slowly. Language barriers, we're still working hard at this. Making long-term friends, the language is the key to this. And as for us as parents, your priorities shift. It's not just about what works for you anymore, it's about what works for the whole family. Willem came home from school a week or so ago, and he wanted to share his day with all of you beautiful people. So take it away, Willem.
So today at school, we did English presentations. And it was really interesting because I got to see everyone try and speak English. My presentation was obviously in Spanish because I know English. The presentations were on different countries and facts about them, and I was subjected to Latin American countries, and I decided to do El Salvador because I thought that would be the easiest. And I did the presentation, and now it wasn't a crazy presentation, it was just a 2-minute long speech. Everyone had a sheet of paper or a script that they were reading off of. No one really memorized any, including me. And after I finished doing my presentation on El Salvador, everyone clapped like twice as much rather than other presentations. And my 2 friends that were sitting in the front class started chanting my name. And that made my day for sure. Here's the presentation that I gave in my class today. Hola, soy de El Salvador y nos llaman salvadoreños. Somos famosos por nuestros volcanes, ya que somos uno de los países con más volcanes para nuestro tamaño. También somos conocidos por nuestros platos nacionales, las pupusas, y por producir uno de los mejores cafés del mundo. El Salvador es un país maravilloso con un clima increíble y paisajes hermosos, y estoy muy feliz de vivir aquí. Now, my presentation was very different from everyone else's. Everyone else's was sort of a role-playing thing. They had person 1 and person 2. Everyone was a partner, and they would act like they were from that country that they were presenting on. And the person 2 would ask questions, and they would all say it in English. Now, there was one group, or one girl in the group, that was already bilingual. So I'm wondering how she's going to be graded on it, because she can already speak English fluently. And as I mentioned, my presentations are very different because I didn't have a partner to speak Spanish with, because everyone already spoke Spanish. And during the group presentations, it was kind of difficult to understand them because their accents were so heavy and their pronunciation wasn't 100% correct, but I imagined I was the same. And I wanted to share this with you guys because I thought it was very interesting. This doesn't always happen. This is a very interesting thing that happened that I thought was worth showing.
Section 4. What still frustrates us? Now, let's be real for a minute. There are things here that still frustrate us, even after 19 months. Things taking longer than they should, like finding the right people for a job, like cutting the granite countertop. Service people that aren't always reliable. My friend Hannah had to wait 3 weeks before she got Claro out to install her internet. Crazy. Infrastructure issues. There is so much construction here, which is good, but if you've ever lived in a home during the renovation process, you can relate. There can be so much dust from all of the highway projects going on in our town right now. It leaves for a lot of housework. Bureaucracy that makes no sense, like changing the address of our business. I cannot understand why that literally took months to do. And actually, there's still one more step. And you just can't come here expecting it to feel like Canada, because it doesn't. If you fight that reality, you'll be miserable. If you accept it, life gets a whole lot easier. Section 5. Hidden costs and surprises. Everyone talks about how cheap El Salvador is. And yes, it can be in certain situations. But the locals here complain about how expensive it is. But there are things that surprised us. All imported goods are expensive. You pay more for them here, mostly, than you would in Canada. Convenience just costs more. Gasoline is about the same, but buying a car can cost you more than you think. And at the same time, some things are shockingly affordable. For example, services. The guy who cut my countertop, it was under $100. I think it was $80. Local food, like food from a small restaurant or home kitchen, costs much, much less. Experiences like going to a water park for $5 USD per person instead of $59 Canadian like we would have paid at Calypso in Ontario. Mind-boggling. So it's not just cheap or expensive. It's just different. Section 6. Our monthly expenses. February 19th to March 20th. All right. This is the part of the video we're all waiting for, right? Right? What did we actually spend from February 19th to March 20th living here in El Salvador as a family of 5? Here's the cost. Our rent, $850 a month. Security and maintenance. Yes, maintenance is the pools and the gardens and the trees and all the stuff that they have to maintain. It isn't just to pay security guards. We already live in a very safe country. It's for the maintenance part. A big part of it anyway. That's $35. Electricity, $91.82. Now, when that bill came in, I'd only run the AC once or twice since about November. So that's a very low bill. This bill where I had the AC running a little bit more, especially when I was sick. I had a fever, so I actually ran the AC for 2 days straight. It's a lot more expensive. You got to be very careful with AC usage. That's all. You can keep your bill low by using lots of fans. Water. This is $3.52 from ANDA. Now that includes our drinking water now. As you see, our drinking water says 0 because we have a water filter. So we actually are using the ANDA water filtered to drink. So it did not significantly increase our bill, not even $1. Cooking gas was 0. I didn't buy a canister this month. Internet is $32.98. Cell phones, there's $54. That's $13 plans for Willem, Annika, and GJ, and a $15 plan for me. Groceries. I did break this one down for you guys this month instead of just using my estimate. It's $573.09. Now, I spent $19 and $17 getting fruits and vegetables from the lady down the road. I spent $73.69 and $60.77 in 2 Maxi Dispensa orders this month. I spent $90.12 and $261.26 at PriceSmart for, cat food and toilet paper and all that kind of stuff. And I spent $51.25 to get a 50-pound bag of flour from El Robles Baking Supplies, as well as some coloring for frosting this month because it was my daughter's birthday. School, that's $75 for the bus. Eating out was $225.58. Transportation is $58. That's for fuel for my car. And for medical, it's $40 for Willem's braces checkup. Pets, it's 0. So for a total of $2,035.99. Now, I did not include my husband's plane ticket to the Netherlands because that is not a regular monthly expense that we incur. So we're spending less than we did per month in Canada. So for us, the cost of living is cheaper. Section 7, freedom, safety, and lifestyle. This is one of the biggest reasons we came here. And after 19 months, I can say that still hasn't changed. We still feel a level of freedom here that's hard to explain unless you've actually experienced it. And for safety, for us, in our experience, it's been better than we even expected. But more importantly, it's the feeling of life here. There's less pressure, less fear, more control over your time. And that's something we don't take for granted. Section 8, why we're still here. So after everything, the good, the frustrating, the unexpected, why are we still here? Because for us, the benefits still outweigh the downsides. We built a life here, a routine, a sense of normal. And even with the challenges, there's something about this lifestyle that keeps pulling us back. So section 9, would we do it again? This is a big question. Would we make the same decision knowing everything we know now? The honest answer, yes. But we would do some things differently. We'd prepare more, we'd stress less about the small stuff, and we'd come in with more realistic expectations. Living in El Salvador isn't perfect, but nowhere is. And after 19 months, we're still here, so that should tell you something. If you're thinking about moving to El Salvador, or just curious what life is really like here, hit subscribe because we're sharing the real story every step of the way and everything that no one tells you before you move. And if you want to see more of our real lives in El Salvador, hop on over to our new channel called Making It in El Salvador, where this past Wednesday, I took you along as I made my breakfast and shared with you 39 things we miss about living in Canada. And if you're interested in being part of our WhatsApp community, then please email me your WhatsApp phone number at youtube@hagenars.com and see the description below for the link to our Monday night call. It's every Monday at 7 p.m. El Salvador time. See you in the next one.
Don't forget to hit the like button.